You know what's the best part about iDubbbz's reputation going down the drain? Leafy is back! But seriously, ever since 2016, I've been Team Leafy in his fight against iDubbbz, and boy have the tables turned. If you want to learn more about the relationship with iDubbbz and his girlfriend, I suggest you check out PewDiePie's video. He does a good job of covering that topic. But related to that topic, I have a question for you guys. Have you ever imagined a YouTuber who proudly unveils their far-left views? Like if they call themselves proud social justice warrior. Well, you're in luck. I'd like to introduce you to Sheep in the Box. This guy just has it all. He's a Marxist, a feminist, an LGBT rights activist, diversity lover, you name it. There are just a lot of things to respond to. Only just why are a lot of his videos between 45 minutes and an hour long? Can he not be a little more to the point with his topics? But, you know, the thing that gets me the most is the fact that he actually hates centrists, which kind of unveils the vigilant centrist in me. I'll save his lefty rants for another day. Right now, we'll focus on something more recent. That's where it ties into the intro. At the beginning of the month, Sheepman gave his take on the whole situation with iDubbbz. Now, I take issue with half the video, and I say half because part of the video is him talking about whether sex work is good or not. I personally don't argue against the profession, so I'm not going to go into that topic. But the main debate regarding iDubbbz's little parade here is the kind of self-esteem he has regarding women. And I have to say, Sheep in the Box is the only person who opposes the popular decision, which says a lot about him. And holy hell does he show what his views of relationships are. That's what I want to respond to. I need to first start with the first claim he makes.
This revelation shocked the internet, or at least the edgy boys who dominate certain sections of it, including PewDiePie, who, let's be honest here, is arguably a Nazi.
Why is exactly PewDiePie a Nazi? Is that because he said the N-word on the internet? Are people still talking about that? Like, come on guys, you social justice warriors need to get a life. In regards to his next part, his video is quite long, so let's cut to the arguments he makes.
I'm sexy and I know it.
This is the meme that's been doing the rounds recently. Most of it's just jokes, but as we've discussed before, behind most jokes there is a sliver of truth. Humour is rhetoric after all, and most comedians do actually believe most of the things they joke about. Steven Crowder claims to be a comedian, but I sincerely doubt that he doesn't believe most of what he says on his garbage show. Or hey, who knows, maybe his climate change denial is just one long extended bit I just don't understand with my tiny lefty brain. First of all, what's a simp? Well, apparently it's technically an acronym standing for suckers idolizing mediocre pussy, which could be interpreted in a number of ways. For example, if I was feeling particularly uncharitable, I could assert that actually what it means is incels misinterpreting the concept of being nice to women. But realistically, I imagine it means men who waste their lives infatuated with people who wouldn't be good for them anyway. This clearly doesn't apply to iDubbbz here because it's his fucking girlfriend. If anything, it could be argued that the people who felt like a woman they barely know selling pictures of her own body online is unacceptable or immoral in some way are the real simps, but apparently iDubbbz's fanbase doesn't want to have that conversation.
Is this guy in denial or is he just retarded? By his logic, you cannot be a simp because you have a girlfriend. I would argue that 95% of simps are boyfriends who are so insecure about being single that they'll date any woman regardless of how she treats him. These are the kinds of guys who forgive their girlfriends after she cheated on him 4 times in a row. These are the kinds of guys who give in to their girlfriend's every demand because they fear she would leave them. These are the kinds of guys who would still date their girlfriends even if they found out she has a freezer filled with bodies of her ex-boyfriends.
Why does Emily like this stuff? Do you think there's something psychologically wrong with her?
What difference does it make?
What do you mean?
Well, oh, come on, you could have a freezer full of ex-boyfriend's body parts and you'd still go out with her.
I do like that the ex-boyfriend's out of the picture.
It's really sad, to be honest, and it's even sadder when someone would defend that kind of relationship. It really says a lot about his relationships.
Also, the OnlyFans is already one of the biggest on the entire site, so I don't know what that makes all the other people following it. Slightly more accurate, though still categorically incorrect, is the accusation of cuckoldry, because at least the definition of that requires the people involved to have a pre-existing relationship, but in order for that to be the case, there would have to be some form of sex outside the confines of a relationship going in, which frankly there just isn't. iDubbbz said he's cool with it, and quite frankly he's the one who gets to actually be with her, whilst other people get to look on from the outside and fantasize about her. I don't get how other people wanting but not being able to have his girlfriend somehow makes them more powerful than him in some way.
Here we go again. No, cuckoldry does not have to mean they go to third base all the time. People in general don't like it when another person gets involved in their relationship. If you become a porn star or an e-girl or whatever, you create an intimacy with people on the internet. Being in a relationship means that you share an intimacy with your significant other, and just about everyone finds it to be special to them. Something for the two people to share. And a lot of guys wouldn't let their girlfriend do something like this because it could end up like meeting someone on a dating app and she'll start banging other guys. One day she starts an OnlyFans account and the other day the guy comes knocking on her door. Basically, you'll become your girlfriend's side boy. I'm not saying that it's guaranteed to happen, but it is very possible. But hey, I don't expect this guy to understand it. Based on these thoughts, he probably doesn't even have his own relationship. I mean, what can I expect from a guy who openly talks about his sex addiction? To me, this is the equivalent of wearing a sign that says, "Don't date me, I'm a sexual deviant." It's basically true when throughout the video you see drawings of naked women. Like, you know those, 12-year-olds who have posters of half-naked women on their walls? Like, if you are already an adult and you have that kind of poster in your room, that's basically the only woman in your life.
Oh, you touch my tra-la-la. My ding-ding-dong.
This one's been used a lot in the response videos. They analyse specific frames of the iDubbbz video and claim that a particular way he speaks or face he pulls actually means that he's being held under duress, and that his cruel harpy of a girlfriend is forcing him to be okay with doing whatever the fuck she wants with her own body.
Even when he's saying it, he doesn't look like he wants to. He looks like his girlfriend has a gun behind the camera threatening him.
And I think all of it is cool. Yeah, I know.
It's cool.
Here's the thing, no one can read minds, but if he wasn't okay with it, he had a number of options. He could have spoken to her and discussed his misgivings, they could have talked it out and maybe come to a resolution. Maybe that did happen. He could have not mentioned it at all, because let's be honest here, his video is the main contributing factor to the massive overnight success of her OnlyFans, and crucially, he could have broken up with her, or at least made it clear that if she went ahead with the OnlyFans idea, he wouldn't be able to maintain a relationship with her. Relationships are, above all, dependent on the participant's ability to effectively communicate and compromise. And if Anissa was insistent on going into sex work and iDubbbz was unable to get over his misgivings about it, then clearly a breakup might have solved the problem. But none of that happened, other than they potentially discussed it and came to a resolution or compromise, so quite frankly, this assertion is based on the fact that people making it are insecure to the point that they wouldn't be comfortable with their girlfriend doing something like that, so that means no one else possibly could be.
I don't think that's the case here. He's actually a simp, so naturally he's not going to tell her to pull the plug on it. Say, dude, how would you feel if your imaginary girlfriend sent out nudes? Although considering Sheep here is a simp himself, I could say he can't resonate with the argument.
My ding-ding-dong.
Cheating is a complicated grey area because it can vary in severity from person to person.
Severity doesn't exactly change the fact that it's still cheating. Infidelity of any kind is indeed cheating. Nothing complicated about that.
Depending on their stance on the issue. For example, just among my personal circle of friends, I know people who think that looking at porn is cheating, and on the other hand, I have friends who are in open relationships. The difference is prior agreement and consent. Of my friends in open relationships, one of them has a rule that stipulates that full sex is completely acceptable, but oral sex is not, because that's a level of intimacy that they want to keep within the marriage. If one or the other of them went down on someone else, that would then be considered cheating because it's against the parameters agreed between them. Likewise, emotional cheating, where people in relationships fall for someone else and act very like a couple despite no sex or even physical interaction taking place, is very much considered cheating in some circles and not others.
Okay, I'm not going to say that being in an open relationship is the same as cheating, but it is very very close to it. In a lot of cases, saying that you want an open relationship is just an excuse to cheat. In the US, that is a pretty high number among people who cheat, in the ranges between 21 to 57%. That's why it's not socially accepted to be polyamorous.
As one response video pointed out, if one half of a couple was sending nudes to other people, that would be cheating.
Let me ask you this. If your girlfriend sent nudes to another guy while you were in a relationship, what would you do? I don't know about you, but I would break up that bitch straight away.
Leaving out the silent assumption that the other half of the couple wasn't aware and wouldn't approve of it. But that's the thing, you see, it's not a guarantee that that's the case, and in iDubbbz's case, he obviously supports and sees no issues with the OnlyFans page, so this is just a fucking pointless argument to even begin having. It's like agreeing on house rules in Monopoly and then kicking off when there's no payout at free parking because it says there should be in the rulebook.
Yeah, this guy is definitely a sim because he wholeheartedly defends his views on them. Like I said earlier, he made a large point defending sex work, and I'm not against sex workers, so I'm going to skip to the next part where he sort of mixes the 2 points together. This just shows the social justice warrior side of him.
Oh, you touch my tra-la-la. My ding-ding-dong.
This is the I'm not racist but of controlling women's bodies. Fuck off, yes you absolutely do have a problem with sex workers, just own up to it already. You can say shit like, I don't hate them, but I wouldn't want my girlfriend to be one, or you like, but by that implication you're inherently arguing that sex work is something you are uncomfortable with and a profession you don't respect. Further solidified by the fact that many of these people made half-hour-long videos about how upset they were that this woman decided to sell her body on the internet and her boyfriend didn't stop her. This has the same energy as, I don't mind the gays, but I'd be upset if my son came home with a boyfriend. Or perhaps a better comparison would be, I don't hate Latinos, but I wouldn't want to live next door to one. When they say shit like this.
This made me laugh because in my head, this is exactly how I imagine most OnlyFans starting.
Didn't give it any thought, just thought maybe I'll sell my pussy online and see how it goes.
Especially people who aren't super famous already and just make OnlyFans. I personally know of people in my real life who started an OnlyFans, and I'm pretty sure this is the exact conversation they had with themselves.
They don't get to then argue that actually they don't have a problem with sex workers, they're just spending hours and hours filming, editing and uploading videos about it and how shameful it is for iDubbbz to be okay with his girlfriend getting her tits out on the internet, but they're not mad and they definitely don't hate sex workers.
Yeah, this is a typical SJW way of thinking. If you're okay with sex work, you should be open to dating a sex worker. These are the kinds of people who say that you're racist if you're not open to an interracial relationship, or the ones who say you're transphobic if you won't date a tranny. Seriously, sheep, it's 2020. I thought this argument died out 3 years ago. Apparently it hasn't, since the rest of the video involves him giving arguments about how others are reacting emotionally and gives off clips to lengthen the video out. I just need to know what gives someone the desire to be in an open relationship. Scientifically, some people work better in groups, while others like to be with one person. I'm not going to go into that. But the desire for polyamory is actually in the minority, and, that's a fact. And some of them even admit to not engaging in something normal. And of course, there will be apologists who defend them. But I wonder, how does Sheep in the Box really feel about someone watching his girlfriend get intimate with someone else? Oh, pardon me. His imaginary girlfriend getting intimate with someone else.